Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I thought we'd just do something fun and just go through like 25 books I would recommend for 2025. I can't promise you I won't be long-winded, but the list is 25, so hopefully the video should not be that long. If it is, you know, put me on, do some chores, whatever you gotta do, like put me on while you're like trying to get into an activity like cleaning up or something, and just have me as the background noise. But welcome back. Happy Black History Month. It is still February. It's February 23rd. That does not mean this video will be out by the end of February, but it's February 23rd as of now. So happy Black History Month. Let's move in. Okay, so the first book that I have as a recommendation is Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan. She does have a series. It's the Skyland series. So this is just about two people. They're currently divorced, but they run a restaurant together. If you hear that cat, I'm so fucking, I don't know what's going on, but that cat is going through it. My bad. But anyway, Before I Let Go is about a divorced couple. They run a restaurant together, but it's like they're having a hard time, especially the ex-wife. They're having a hard time navigating the divorce. They went through something very traumatic together, which led to the divorce. So they're just trying to navigate like co-parenting, the restaurant, in their lives. Very feel good. Maybe that was the wrong choice of words. Excuse me. It's the drink. But it is a good book. It's a great read. I recommend 5 out of 5. I really loved it, which leads me into the next book. This Could Be Us. It's the second book to the Skyland series by Kennedy Ryan. So it's right after Before I Let Go. This is going to be a continuation of the series, but with different characters. This is about a woman whose life essentially falls apart. Like the rug is like pulled from under her. Her husband has been doing some shady business, which lands him in jail. So now it's up to the main character to provide an income for her and her 3 girls. She's been a housewife like the entire time she's been married to this man. Like, you know, I think she forgot how strong and incredible she was until like she was forced to be in a situation that she never found herself being in. Book number 3 for me is The Davenports. Yeah, The Davenports by Crystal Marquise, or Marquis, however you say her name. I am looking at my laptop, so if you see me looking down, I'm just reading off my laptop like my list. The Davenports, it's set in like, oh my gosh, I know it's set in the early 1900s. I don't know, it's like either like the 1920s, 1940s area. I cannot remember. But you follow these 3 Black women from different social economic backgrounds. So like one is the main, like one of the main characters, she is a part of the family of the Davenports. Like her father like runs this automobile business. They're like very wealthy Black people. You know, it's just her falling in love with somebody who is more of a protester and an abolitionist, and those aren't the people you usually frequent with because they cause trouble, and like that's not the background she's from. Like she doesn't know what it's like to fight and really struggle. The next girl, she also comes from an amazing background. Like her friend whose family owns the automobile company, except this girl, her parents are running for like I think mayor or governor, something like political, but they don't have any money, so they're putting up a front until they win the election. And this girl ends up falling for somebody who's like not really her type. She has a crush on the friend, older brother, who's a Davenport, but he doesn't really pay her dust. And she falls in love with somebody who's mixed race, and he's like new money, so he's looked down upon for that. And then the final girl that is a part of this story is a maid. She's a maid. And she's in love with the brother that's like the eldest Davenport, and like they're into each other in secret, but like he can't really be with her because of like again socioeconomic status and whatnot. And there is another Davenport. There's like three of them. There's like the oldest brother, the sister, the first oldest sister who's the middle child, and the youngest. The youngest sister, I'll just say, she wants to work with her father, but because she's a woman, she doesn't know anything, and her, you know, her future is to be a wife and a mother. So there's that. Um, the fourth book is Crying in H Mart by Michelle Zauner. I love this book so much. Like, I will say I'm not somebody who is into autobiographies, biographies. I don't like reading things that aren't fictional for the most part. And I didn't really know what Crying into H Mart was about. I just knew that it was very popular at the time, and I loved the cover. And I was like, okay, like, I'll read something that's like Korean American because I don't really venture out into other backgrounds. So I was surprised that it was a biography, but it was so good. It was very relatable. I felt her. I might reread it. It was just a really good read. It's just this girl telling you the story about her relationship between her and her mother, how it's always been strenuous and rocky since like she could remember, her struggling with like, you know, being her own individual, disappointing her mother, and like, you know, following her own dreams. It was just a really good read. I Chef's kiss. I recommend that. My next book, book 5, is Such a Fun Age by, is it Keely Reed? Such a Fun Age is interesting. Because the main character is a Black girl who gets profiled at the supermarket, and she works for this like very well-off family in Philadelphia, and the mom is like the stereotypical like millennial come up type of mom. Like, she's got this money, and she's like this big, like almost like a big influencer. Like, she has her own brand, her own business. She's well known for that. Like, but it just comes to a head because like her nanny, the one who got profiled, and if you couldn't take a guess, like the family that the girl is nannying for is white. The family, like, she starts dating this guy, the Black girl who's the nanny, who the story's focused on. She starts dating this guy who's very obnoxious. I live in a city. You're gonna have to get used to that. They're very obnoxious around here. Sorry to digress. She starts dating this white guy who, it's clear he fetishizes Black women and Black culture, but I don't think it's that obvious at first. It might be for some, but I think the author does a pretty good job of making it seem like he's like making it seem like, no, I just grew up with these, like, with Black people. I'm always around Black people. Like, this is just me. Like, I'm not weird type thing. But it's clear he's a bit of a culture vulture, and he thinks he's like a white man trying to be Black. Like, he thinks he's well versed in Blackness and Black culture. He's not. But long story short, like, he used to date the woman that the girl nannies for. So it's just a great perspective in watching, like, I don't want to say racism, but maybe prejudice from two different sides of the same coin. Because you have this white man who's like immersed in Black culture, but is still like weird when it comes to his relationship with Black culture. And then you have this white woman who is not well versed in Black culture, not really around it, but like swears to God she's not racist, she's not weird, she's none of that. I don't know, 10 out of 10 for me. Read it. I promise you won't be disappointed by that. The next book on my list is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This book really did give old Hollywood to me. The way she describes everything, the way the setup was, like, of a young Spanish woman hiding her identity and making sure she was more white presenting in a time where they didn't really accept women of color, but then being like closeted. Oh my god, it was just really good. I think there were a lot of twists and turns that were unexpected. I cried towards the end. It was just a beautiful and well written story. I don't want to give too much away because it's a lot, but it gives us that glamour of old Hollywood and the misogyny and the sexism and the racism. It gives us all of that. The homophobia, the closeted gay people in Hollywood. Like I recommend, like, if you just want a good read, this is it. Um Following that up, this is Unbound, My Story of Liberation and the Birth of the Me Too Movement by Tarana Burke. I'm so happy I read that, but I am going to say, trigger warning, there's a lot of essay that's mentioned in this book, but we're talking about Me Too, so like you do need to expect that. And it's a lot of essay like at a very young age. Um it was heartbreaking to read it. I It just made me really sad because we've read and heard of these stories throughout our whole lives, especially being women, and it evokes a lot of sadness and rage. I think, not to be political or make it political, but how can you not? I think it's just really disheartening to see all the work that Tarana put into that Me Too movement, how it all started and became just for white women to hijack it and then silence black women and other women of color about our experiences. Like, it's and maybe silence isn't the correct word, but it is like white women overshadowed the Me Too movement, and of course black and brown women and girls are forgotten in the conversation again. But it's a beautiful read. um I'm happy that Tarana shared her story and others' stories with us. I appreciate it. Um, Without her, we probably wouldn't even be having these kind of conversations anyway. So thank you to her for that. The next book, I read this with one of my good friends, Sierra. We read 7 Days in June by Tia Williams. I will say, if you're going to read 7 Days in June, please read it like spring, summertime, like when it's warm out, so you can really get the vibe. So it's just about these two authors in Brooklyn, um, who are getting awarded for their books, um, and they appreciate both of each other's work. Like they appreciate each other's works, and come to find out they have a past together, and they explore that journey and see why they like disconnected for so long. Like, what was the issue? Like, they just reconnect. It's beautiful. I think it was a nice love story. It was just nice to read about, black people who are being celebrated, who are living their lives unapologetically black and just following their dreams and careers and seeing the success that comes from it. I really love this. So please read it. If you do, read it when it's warm out. It's like one of those books like I would take to the beach. The next book, it was in my previous video, blah. Immortal Dark by Tygus Grims. So I'm just going to be very short because I kind of went over it last time. But basically, it is about like Ethiopian black academia. Yeah, Ethiopian black academia. So the main character sister, June, is missing. And her only lead is this vampire who apparently killed her sister, who is at this university specifically for black people and their vampires, and she's trying to uncover what happened to her sister, and she's learning about her family history and the alleged vampires history who did something with her sister. I'm gonna leave it at that. I thought it was a really good read. Again, like, it's the first time I've really read Black academia. Like, and it was just really good. Like, I liked it a lot. So if you're into vampires, things like that, highly suggest. The next book, I also went over this, but this is Blood of Hercules by Jasmine Mass. This girl, she has no idea where she comes from, what her lineage is. She's had a hard life, and her life is only going to get worse and turned upside down when she realizes she's different from the other humans and she's not really human. And she's separated from her brother, so now she's worried like her brother's out there living on the streets alone, not able to survive, and she has to go through these trials to prove herself. And she's the only girl in these trials, so it's really a disadvantage. She doesn't know any of the culture. Oh my god, read it. If you're into like mythology and like, you know, the Greek gods and everything, read it. I can't wait for the second book to come out. My 11th book, because I don't think I've been counting, or maybe I have, is Southern Pleasure by Kaylee Ryan. Oh, excuse me. I'm a cheesy girl at my core. Like, cheesy as fuck. So this is just basically about this guy who finds out he's going to be a father, but his girlfriend does not want to keep the baby. So, like, he makes a deal with her, like, hey, I have my beliefs. I really just want you to have this baby. If you have this baby, you will not be forced to pay any type of child support. There's no strings attached. Like, she makes sure she gets this in writing. Like, they draw up everything with their lawyers to make sure, like, he won't come after her. And she's like, my parents want nothing to do with the baby. I don't want anything to do with the baby. I'm only doing this because you're, like, a really good guy. Okay. So, mind you, he's running a farm in Kentucky. His parents are back in Alabama because his father's sick with cancer. And can't run the farm. So his best friend, who's like his neighbors, has a sister. Like, they all grew up together. His best friend and sister find out, like, because he tells them like the situation, what's going on. The sister takes over, like, helps him through everything. Like, she is with him step by step. Her and her entire family, because again, his family's not in the picture because they're in Alabama. And something goes left to where the boy's pregnant ex-girlfriend's parents try to get like custody of his kid. So then they have to get married. Like, the guy's best friend's sister marries him so he can keep his baby. It's like a whole ruse. It's a whole thing. Like, she's always had a crush on him. So like, things go left, obviously, but again, a good read. I didn't want to like ruin everything, but yeah, that's it. Like, I think it's cute. It's a cute read. The next book was another book me and my friend were supposed to read. I don't think she read this one with me, but we're supposed to read it together. It's The Neighbor Favor by Christina Forrest. It's such a cute read. Okay, so this one is about a writer who only wrote one book, but that one book is so infamous and popular that he's supposed to make like another book. Like, he's supposed to make a series, but he's so stressed because like he doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know like what to do with the series. And there is this girl who was obsessed with his books to the point she started writing him to, like, you know, she didn't even think anything of it. Like, she didn't think he was going to respond. He did end up responding, and they were pen pals for a little bit until, like, he ghosted her. Come to find out, they are living in the same unit in New York City. So they meet again. Cute read. I'm gonna leave it at that. Um, I read Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. I think that's a cute read. Like, this is a series as well, but you don't have to read it in order. I didn't read it in order. I only read this. I don't plan on reading the third book or the first book. It's just about these two doctors who work in the same hospital, and the doctor who is up for promotion, she finds out that she's going to have some competition with this new doctor who's transferring there. He has amazing qualifications. His resume is beautiful. But again, the doctor who's already there, she's been busting her chops to become director of this facility. And this other doctor's just going to take it. Like, I think not. So they start off like hating each other, but then they become kind of like a couple. Like, they become like a, like, because they have to put on a ruse. They come together and team up together because the other doctor, his brother, is marrying his ex-girlfriend, so they come together. Like, she's just like his support buddy, like she's his fake girlfriend. So his family will go to the wedding and like they can support his brother. Okay. My next book is Only for the Week by Natasha Bishop. This was very controversial on like TikTok. I want to say like last year or maybe the year before. I don't remember. It was controversial because they thought the writing was terrible. They thought the book was terrible. I liked the book. The book is kind of similar to the book I just was talking about. So one for what is it? Sorry, I don't want to mess up the book. Only for the Week is about this girl whose sister is marrying her ex. And she's like fine with it. She's not bothered. She said she was fine. It's not a big deal. But her sister is a blip. And that is me being nice about it. Her sister is just, she's just not it. She's not really a good sister. Her mother is antagonizing as well. Her and the whole like bridal party, they go away on the island, I think the week before the wedding. And the main character like falls for one of like her ex's homeboys. Her ex kind of feels a way about it. It's just weird. I don't know. This is me about to go on a rant, but I don't understand how you could feel a way about your ex being with somebody else and you're about to marry her sister. Like, be so for real about what you're saying right now. I need you to be so for real. You should not be worried about what that lady doing with that man. But anyway, good read. I'm gonna leave it at that. Um, the next book I have, and again, I'm a romance girl at heart, is To All the Boys Before, To All the Boys I've Loved Before, or To All the Boys Before series by Ginny Han. This speaks to my inner child. This book, um, she speaks to the inner, like my teenage self. I love this book. I think it's a cute read about a girl whose sister goes away for college in a different country. Her and her sisters are heavily codependent on each other. Her letters get out, and okay, well, I gotta explain the letters if you've never heard of the book. Okay, so her letters get out. Like, she's always written letters to all of her crushes. So those letters get out, her crushes find out, and one of her crushes happens to be her neighbor slash best friend slash her sister's ex-boyfriend. And she's avoiding him. She's doing everything she can to avoid him. So to avoid him and make it seem like I'm over you, she gets with the popular guy in school. And they are on a ruse faking their relationship. There is a pattern in some of my books. I like a fake relationship. It's a cute book. It was a great movie on Netflix. All three of the movies are on Netflix. Read them first, then watch them. That's all I have. My next book is Hathor and the Prince by JJ. McAvoy. So again, this is like supposed to be like Bridgerton, but we made it black. And and Hathor hates the prince. So this is like enemies to lovers arc. I really loved this one, the best out of the whole series. Um, Hathor has always felt inadequate to her oldest sister Aphrodite, who's like the most beautiful and gets like the best guy in the land, but like she upped her sister because she got a prince, so claps for her. Um, yeah, I like it. If you're into that type of thing, definitely check it out. Oh, okay. This is Fearless by Marie Avant is my next book. This is book 17 for my recommendations. Fearless, it's a series as well. I'm trying to see how I want to explain it. So basically it is an interracial couple. The main character, she is black, and then her love interest is white. He's Russian. So to set the stage, they met when she was like 18, and he did her a solid, and they kind of stayed in contact throughout the years. Shaky, like he's a boxer. She went away to Spelman to go pursue a career in law. Like she went to law school and everything. Her dad is like this big time, was he in the DA? Like big time cop. And he was running, I think, for mayor for LA at one point when she came back. Because, like, we get some backstory, and then she comes back to California after she's done with law school. Yes, I had to think about that. And her and the boxer, they reconnect. I'm sorry, he's not a boxer. He is a UFC fighter. There's a difference. Her and the UFC fighter reconnect. A little plot twist. A little twist in the story is that the UFC fighter comes from this big Russian family who is part of the Bravada, which is like their version of the mob. So he tries to keep her out of that. He's like legitimate. He's never been a part of that, but like he associates with family members who are a part of that. So that's a little strenuous for them to navigate, but I really love the series. My next book is The Secret World of Maggie Gray by Granger. I love this one. I loved it a lot. This is supposed to be a magical HBCU. So this book is filled with like sirens, vampires, werewolves, seers, witches, any magical being or creature you can think of. They are at Drew Collins. So Drew Collins is for students who have powers. They take kids from age to like 5 and up. Like you could be 85 going to Drew Collins. Like they accept any and everybody as long as you have a purpose at their school. And these 4 girls and a cat link up and they become the best of friends. It was really good. I don't want to really give much away because I'm gonna talk about it on TikTok probably, and maybe I'll make a longer like review video. But it's really good. They get into a lot of trouble. They're discovering a lot. Like things go down. There is murder in this story, so fair warning. It gets chaotic real quick. Um, the 19th book that I have, book 19, is The Defining Decade: Why Your 20s Matter and How to Make the Most of Them by Meg J. I read this years ago, like before I even turned 20. I think I read this at 19. It was really good. It just gives you a perspective about like, you know, how maybe you should think about navigating your 20s, like some of the thought provoking conversations we may have in private with our friends or even like close family members. It was just really good. It's just a perspective of you're not behind, but you do have to start somewhere. And this is the time. This is your valuable time to be creating the, like, planting the seeds. Like, this is your foundation. And you should be taking advantage of that while you're in your 20s, when you're young, when you can, have the time and the energy. I want to reread it, and maybe I'll review it. I don't know. I want to reread it because I'm at the end of my 20s, and I do want to see if I followed anything she said, or if anything that she says in the book resonates with me. Um, Book 20, You Make a Fool of Death with Your Beauty, by, oh, I'm gonna butcher the author's name right now, and I'm so sorry. By Akawake MZ. I'm so sorry. I'm not even gonna try it again. I read this with my friend Sierra, and I'll never well, no, this isn't the book I'll never forgive her for. This book was a hot mess, though. Okay, I'm just gonna concise it to the like, just make it concise. This girl goes away with this guy she meets at a club. Mind you, she was hooking up with his best friend before she got to him, and then she hooks up with him. She really likes him, and they like each other so much, to the point that he invites her out of the country with him to go spend time at his dad's place. I know it's a Caribbean country. I don't want to say it's Jamaica. It might be, or it might be a different island. So just know it's Caribbean. And again, this girl, she's grieving over the death of her husband still, that, like, he died a couple years ago, but she's still grieving her loss. Oh my God. She gets there with the boy, meets the father, and is insanely attracted to the father. Her and the father start hooking up. It was hot mess. Hot mess. It was a good book, but hot mess. I was like, oh, she's crazy. She might need to get, like, hands put on her. Not by, like, the guy she was dating, but, like, he has a sister. Maybe the sister got to just hands on her, slap her one good time, because she was bugging. They were both bugging. They both needed to be slapped. Book 21 is Off the Record by K.A. Lind. This was a good read. I read this years ago, and I read it from time to time when I'm, like, in the mood, when the mood strikes me. This is about a girl that goes to UNC, University of North Carolina, and she is in journalism. She's interested in journalism. She wants to be a reporter or writer, like, in the media. So UNC holds, like, this conference for the senator there. Was he senator or governor? Whoever is below that. I think maybe he was governor. Whatever. You know what I'm saying. He's in politics. He's hot. He's young. She asks him, like, a question that kind of, like, throws him off. He's unprepared. Later that night, her and her team, because she works at, like, the newspaper for her school, they celebrate. He sees her there. He gets somebody to go get her, and he starts talking to her, and they're, like, kind of going back and forth. Like, they don't really agree with each other politically, but they have a relationship, like a secret little relationship. And yeah, like, they have a secret little relationship. They have little nicknames. Like, he's always taking her places with him, like, under the guise, like, she just happens to be there because there's a political event. The school is there. Or, like, they just make it work until they don't. And then, things don't end on the best note. I will leave it at that. I don't want to give everything away. My next book, I read this a couple times. It was a good series. It's The Goddess Hunt by Amy Carter. Excuse me. So basically, I'm trying to figure out. Okay, so this girl and her mom, they moved to this town for this doctor, for this good, like, doctor, like, because her mother is dying. Her mother has cancer. It's really bad. this is their last chance. And this girl, she gets like in the mix of like meeting this guy who promises to help save her friend, because she goes out, her friend like hurts her head really bad in the river and like cracks it. It's like she's dead. So this guy finds them, he helps, and he's like, I will help her if you promise to stay with me. And she's like, what? And he's like, yeah, stay with me. Like, come do these trials, like these tests, and like stay with me. Like, and if you stay, like, I'll make sure your mother doesn't die. You see what I did for your friend, right? And that's what she does. And there's a lot of deception throughout this book, a lot of twists and turns. But it was a good series, and I know it was a good series because I didn't forgive the author for what she did in that last series, that final book. I'm still grieving. Okay. Number 23, I have American Royalty by Casey Livesay. I like American Royalty. Think like Megan Thee Stallion meets like Prince Harry, like a royal, because that's basically what it is. It's like this hot rapper. She gets into some like nonsense in the States. So she goes to like the UK to just get away and still like do some some publicity. And she meets this hot guy who happens to be like the prince, but he's not really around his family that much. And they have a little secret relationship, but like his family does not approve of her. Shocker. I really like this. Read it if you haven't already. I have The Ritual by Chantel Tessier, or Teaser, however you say her name. I will say, again, trigger warnings. There is like some unsavory things that happen in this book, and you might question your morals a little bit. But again, this is like the 1%. This is like the school for the rich kids and the rich kids only. And not all the rich kids get into this school. So it's really about that 1%. Again, this is the Lord series. So this is a secret society. Kind of think of it as a fraternity. Lords get ladies at like their final year, their senior year, so they have to abstain from any like activities until they get to their senior year. So the main character of this one gets his ex-best friend's girlfriend, but like the girl, Blakely, she found out like, her ex is like a lying cheat. So she gets with the guy that she was promised to be with, and it's just like a whole roller coaster. I already like kind of explained it in the first video, so maybe I'll do like a whole review, who knows. And then my final book, another book I explained in my first video, is Deviant King by Rena Kent. This is an enemies to lovers book. They had a baby with each other, but the mom was AWOL for some time. We uncover why. It was a really good book. And I would recommend it. I don't want to make this any more lengthy than I have. I hope you enjoyed this. Follow me on social media. You can follow me on TikTok, Rednote, Goodreads, and what's the other one? StoryGraph. I'll leave it in the description box. Until next time, enjoy your day, enjoy your evening.